When we talk about the 1950s, we talk about one of the greatest eras of automotive history. We're talking about the golden era of 24 Hours of Le Mans and other endurance races. We're talking about so many innovations, whether it's about technical aspects or luxury. We're also talking about the time when cars became an integral part of popular culture, about the era that gave us so many legendary models. And from that crowded, elite society, we picked our favorites. So make sure to stay with us and check our list of the top 10 most iconic cars of the 1950s. The Chevrolet Bel Air is easily one of the most iconic cars of the 1950s for many reasons. First of all, it was a model that helped Chevy establish itself as one of the industry leaders with its perfect blend of style and affordability. But more importantly, Bel Air became a cultural icon, a model that appeared in so many movies, TV shows, and songs from this era, a model that showcased the optimism and prosperity of the post-war era, a model that remained in production for a full 25 years. The styling was the most prominent aspect of the Bel Air because this Chevy looked way more upscale than the rest of the lineup, with numerous chrome accents, two-tone paint, and luxurious interior. Moreover, people loved its configurability, as the car was offered in various body styles, including a two-door coupe, convertible, sedan, and wagon. Besides aesthetics, the Bel Air also offers strong performance, especially after 1955, when Chevy introduced its legendary small-block V8 engine, which only solidified Bel Air's reputation even more. Introduced in 1954, Giulietta was the model that put Alfa Romeo on the map again. Moreover, it was a model that would eventually become a symbol of the post-war era, a model that embodied Italian passion for design, innovative engineering, and performance. Typically for Alfa Romeo, the Giulietta was a gorgeous car with its sleek, aerodynamic body that came as a product of the joint forces of two automotive design legends, Bertone and Pininfarina. It's pretty legal to say that this car set a new standard for automotive design back in the 1950s. Besides aesthetics, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta was also innovative in so many ways, starting from the fact that it was the first mass-produced car to feature a lightweight aluminum alloy engine, which was one of the key reasons for the car's impeccable performance and handling. This twin-cam engine was an excellent performer for its time, while its lively, high-revving character was the reason why it was adored by car enthusiasts. Success in motorsports came as a logical outcome, with numerous wins in various prestigious races, including the legendary Mille Miglia. Introduced in 1955, the Thunderbird came as Ford's response to the Chevy Corvette. Eventually, this model would become a legend, a nameplate that would continue to live for 5 decades through numerous iterations. But back in the day, the T-Bird was an instant success with its sleek design and a perfect synergy created by a long hood and short deck. Stylish and luxurious, with standard features like power windows, power seats, and a removable steering wheel, it was more of a personal luxury car than a classic sports machine. Soon after, appearances at various movies and TV shows started, which turned this Ford into a cultural icon. It was an instant success, a model that outsold Corvette by a significant margin. Also worth mentioning is that the T-Bird was one of the first cars of its size and class to rely on V8 engines rather than, at the time, more common inline 6 units. The 1950s were years of prosperity in America, years when luxury and car design was elevating constantly. In that quest for ultimate luxury, the Eldorado came as a logical outcome. It was originally introduced as a limited production luxury convertible, but eventually, it became a great success for Cadillac. It was distinctive in so many ways, starting from its unique styling that combined sharp lines and a wraparound windshield with a body that was longer, lower, and sleeker compared to its rivals. Ultimate luxury came naturally, with features like power windows, power seats, and a convertible top. But the Eldorado was also full of innovation, starting from the fact that it was one of the first cars to offer air conditioning. Furthermore, it was also the first car to feature Caddy's revolutionary overhead valve V8 engine, which offered a great mix of power and efficiency. Today, Porsche is one of the leading sports car makers in the world, and most experts agree that it all started with the 356, a model that was designed by Ferdinand's son, Ferry Porsche. It was a car that brought a new design philosophy, a philosophy that says that sports cars can be practical for everyday rides as well. The production started back in 1948, with the styling characterized by a distinctive curved roofline and round headlights, obviously influenced by the VW Beetle. But the engineering was what set this Porsche apart from the crowd, the precision in the chassis and suspension setup, which ensured impeccable handling. The 356 was a joy to drive, even though the initial engine was anything but powerful with its 1.1-liter flat-4 design. But constant evolution, including several engine upgrades, kept this car relevant in the following years, solidifying its position as an enthusiast's favorite. Originally introduced in 1953 as a concept car, the first-generation Corvette established a nameplate that would eventually become America's most iconic sports car of all time. Sleek design and a very limited production run of just 300 units made the first-generation Corvette a desirable collector's item. Back in the day, it stood out in many ways. Besides that legendary long hood and fiberglass body, it was also characterized by capable engine options, starting from the initial Blue Flame inline-6. Eventually, the Corvette was upgraded to 8 cylinders, something that remained its quintessential feature up to these days. This was much more than just a fancy-looking convertible. The Corvette proved its value at the 1957 24 Hours of Le Mans race when it won first place in its class. But more importantly, the first generation brought a car design that would later become the epitome of American sports car design philosophy. When the XK120 was introduced at the London Motor Show back in 1948, the original plan was to offer a limited production model, with the main purpose of showcasing the company's new XK engine. However, the reception was so good that the British car maker eventually decided to go into full production. Today, the XK120 stands as one of the most iconic cars of its era, famous for its sleek design, unique grille, and flowing lines, which looked amazing no matter the body style, and there were 3 of them on offer: Roadster, Coupe, and Convertible. As the name suggests, the XK120 featured a top speed of 120 miles per hour, thanks to its capable 3.4-liter inline-6 engine, which was enough for a title of one of the fastest cars of its time. But this Jaguar was much more than just raw power. It featured a precise chassis layout that ensured excellent handling and contributed to massive success on the racing circuit. With such a racing pedigree, the Jaguar XK120 remains one of the biggest icons of its era. The iconic Gullwing doors of this model are easily the first thing that comes to mind when someone mentions sports cars from the 1950s. But the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL was much more than just a distinctive upward opening door design. With groundbreaking design, impressive performance, and racing success, the 300 SL is one of the greatest sports cars, not just of its era, but of all time. Because there aren't many cases where gorgeous styling is complemented by excellent engineering. Usually, it's just one of these two, but not in the 300 SL's case. The excellent chassis setup was complemented with one of the most impressive engines of its time, a 3-liter inline-6 with 240 horsepower and with the car's top speed of 160 miles per hour. Consequently, the 300 SL enjoyed great success in motorsport, winning the most prestigious races at the time, such as the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the Carrera Panamericana. If there was a car that showcased the excellence of British car design, that was the DBR1. The iconic race car elevated Aston Martin to the level of international prominence. It was one of the most successful race cars, driven by racing icons like Stirling Moss, Carroll Shelby, and Roy Salvadori, which only added to the DBR1's legendary status and cemented its position as one of the most legendary racing cars of all time. This Aston Martin was built specifically for the track, so it doesn't surprise it won so many prestigious competitions, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1959, as well as the Nürburgring 1000 km and the RAC Tourist Trophy. The lightweight tubular frame, along with aluminum body panels, reduced weight significantly and contributed to the overall performance, just like the small but lively 2.5-liter inline-6 did, with its max output of 254 horsepower. Finally, as a race car, the DBR1 was produced in very limited numbers. Only 5 models were built between 1956 and 1959, so such exclusivity added to its appeal even more and made it one of the highest desirable collector's cars of all time. There probably isn't a car company that gave us as many iconic models as Ferrari did, and in such an elite portfolio, there's one model that stands out even more than most others: the iconic 250 Testa Rossa, a car that became a symbol of Ferrari's dominance in endurance racing in the 1950s and 1960s. With that in mind, it doesn't surprise that collectors are willing to pay millions to get one of these. Because the 250 Testa Rossa had it all, starting from the gorgeous styling, but it was also a masterpiece of engineering with so many innovations, starting from the lightweight aluminum body and rear-mounted gearbox that ensured much better weight distribution. Finally, there's that jewel under the hood, the screaming 3-liter V12 engine with a max output of 300 horsepower, which was plenty enough to win multiple 24 Hours of Le Mans races in 1958, 1960, and 1961, along with many other prestigious competitions. Do you agree with our list of the most iconic cars of the 1950s? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.